selecting an OEM partner can always be a challenge. And today we're going to just talk about four primary areas of some of those criteria that you may want to look at when you're looking at an OEM partner. Remember, an OEM are those folks that are manufacturing equipment, folks like Dell, HP, IBM, as the three primaries in the industry today. So let's start with taking a look at client. So does the OEM have a client presence? Do they have an endpoint? And do they have a mobility strategy? Now, for some OEMs, this may be equipment that is within their environment that they're offering, and some of them may offer this as a partnership. I guess the key takeaway here with client is make sure that whatever you're purchasing can integrate into the bigger picture, the enterprise picture, because a client is really just an endpoint, and we need to be able to access that endpoint efficiently. Second point here is make sure that your OEM is flexible, that they have the ability to be flexible, and that they are solution oriented. And what I mean by solution oriented is that they have their technology that is adapting to the business need of you, right? Whether you're an agency or an organization looking at technology, you want to make sure that that technology can be flexible. You want to avoid technologies and OEMs that force you down a specific path and then make it very difficult for you to leave or stray from that path. In the old days, that was called greenfield technology. And although it should not be confused with a company that has a solution that is built that will make your life easier, but you want to make sure that you always have an exit plan. Does the OEM have enterprise depth? And the enterprise depth you are looking for are things like compute, network, and storage. So these three primary areas are going to help you when you start evaluating and understanding what their enterprise depth is. Compute, remember with compute, we're really talking about the ability to put together virtual machines, have physical resources, maybe the depth of their compute. Maybe they're running, for example, HPUX, or IBM runs mainframes, or Dell has different thin blades, whatever the solution is in compute. Network strength gives you the ability to understand what they're doing in the network arena. So do they have the right switches, firewalls, things of that nature in their portfolio? Do those switches and firewalls, for example, share the same operating system regardless of the port count or the media type that connects in that network? And then for their storage, do they have file, block, and object-based storage? Are they looking toward the future to make sure that their storage environment is conducive with the way the market is going, right? Are they looking at those type of things? The next thing is, how does their services organization work, and do they have a services organization? Most of your OEMs today do have services organizations, but ask closely about how they are integrated. Are they a solution-oriented services group, or are they just focused on staff augmentation? These are huge questions. You want an organization, a services organization, that is truly looking for ways to make your life as a consumer easier. And so are they solution oriented? And finally, do they have close to the box, what is referred to as close to the box services, in addition to a professional services organization? So a professional services organization would be more of the integrated and solution oriented, the first two uh, highlights here. And then the third is close to the boxes. Can they install their own equipment? Can they manage their storage environment, things of that nature? Or are they using third parties to do that? How is that executed? Please don't misunderstand me. Using a third party to accomplish some of these tasks is not necessarily a bad thing, but we need to be able to look at this from a whole picture when we're selecting an OEM partner to go forward with us. But I believe the number one thing, the number one challenge for an OEM and for an organization or agency is security. And do they have, and we're just going to talk about three primary things. I know in 2015 there's a new standard or requirement coming out by the federal government about insider threat. So, what is the organization, the OEM, doing to protect insider threat, the supply chain management and security of the supply chain? How are they ensuring that those type of attacks will not occur? We don't want to give you equipment, for example, from an OEM in your organization that has a known security threat already on it. So how is the OEM protecting you as the consumer when you purchase those things from them? So that's a big thing. And then the last thing is, do they have security controls for all of you that deal with or are in the federal government? Do they have security controls that wrap around their equipment, their solutions, their services, and their software? Can you go to them and say, I'm going to put in this type of infrastructure, perhaps a virtual environment to satisfy this business need, maybe let's say virtual desktop. Do you have the security controls already written to help me through that process? Do you have certain certifications? Now, don't get hung up on all of the certifications, because certifications are very expensive, and sometimes organizations can and OEMs can have great products without having them quote unquote certified. Remember, in a federal organization, you have to get an ATO. That authority to operate includes the security controls that are being provided to you by the OEM. So you're going to have to work closely with them. If they already have those controls made, great. Doesn't matter if they're certified, because you still have to get the ATO.